All right, y'all. So over the last couple of days, we have gone over our main causes, the pieces of dynamite that are eventually, or excuse me, the building blocks of this piece of dynamite that are going to basically set up the end to World War, excuse me, I should say the cause of World War I. The only thing that we are missing is the spark, okay? Today we are going to go over at least the who, what, when, where, why of the spark, the beginning of the end, what causes all of these things to come together and kaboom, okay? This is going to be pretty short when it comes to our actual notes and stuff like that, and then we are going to watch a dramatization video, et cetera, of what this looks like. No, you cannot sleep through. Okay.
See, you're not supposed to tell her that you're going to sleep through.
Also fair. Bro, I've had 2 monsters and nothing else today. I am like, I'm ready to go. No. I have one more in the fridge that I'm gonna drink after this. We'll see what happens.
They were 3 for $5. I had to buy 3.
All right, so the spark is what causes basically the beginning of the end, okay? That without the spark, without this lighting of the wick to this stick of dynamite, nothing else really matters. We don't get a kaboom without the fire, okay? When it comes to the spark, there's a little bit of background information that you need to know, okay? This map shows what Europe looks like on the eve of World War I, meaning what we look like in 1914 before shit hits the fan, okay? We have what we call the powder keg of Europe in the southeastern portion of Europe. This is the Balkan Peninsula, okay? The Balkan Peninsula is referred to as the powder keg of Europe because it is a lot of countries that used to be part of various empires that are either now independent or being released, that have vastly different viewpoints on certain political things, on certain cultural and social things, et cetera, et cetera. This area of Europe has been engaged in war for a solid 10 years on and off, okay? So there are conflicts and civil wars and other fighting going on in this area 10 years before World War I, okay? Consistently for all of those years. So the reason we call it the powder keg of Europe is because when you leave gunpowder there for that long, it's bound to explode. Okay, there is something that's going to happen there that's going to turn into something bigger, and everyone can just feel it. There's a lot of tension there. Okay, what is going to make this feel, or what is going to explode this powder keg, is the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Okay, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo, sorry. In 1914 is going to be the spark, is going to be that little bit of fire that the powder keg needs to absolutely explode and ignite all of these other causes that we've been talking about. Yes. An Archduke is like, let me see if I can remember this correctly. There's a king, then there's like kings and queens, there's princes and princesses, there's dukes and duchesses, then there's like archdukes and archduchesses.
Okay, because I know a duke owns a section of land that governs.
Yeah. The archduke is like the assistant to the duke, kind of. It also works that way in empire. So like he is part of the Austria-Hungarian Empire. So it goes like emperor and then one more and then archduke, something like that. Yeah. It's like 3 or 4 down from the top guy, basically.
That is a very inappropriate.
Why is it inappropriate? I thought it was funny. It doesn't say it. I just showed shit like 3 minutes ago. What do you mean?
Wait, you did.
I did. All right, so
I can barely hear stuff, even I heard.
All right, so the assassination of Franz Ferdinand is going to be that spark, that little bit of fire that is going to explode that powder keg, which is the Balkan Peninsula. Like I said, the Franz Ferdinand is the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, and that is kind of the center of that Balkan Peninsula. It had been recently released within basically the last 10 years from the Austria-Hungarian Empire is a large empire that sits in the middle of Europe and has recently released a lot of these small Balkan cities or states, I should say, nations, okay? So he has a lot of tension between himself, the Austrian Empire, and all of these little Balkan Peninsula countries, okay? What we need to know, or what we need to do together, is basically get the basics of the who, what, when, where, why, okay? Who, what, when, where, why when it comes to the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, and then we will watch this video and then explore it more when we come back on Monday. All right, who is involved in this assassination? Obviously, number one, Franz Ferdinand, as well as his wife, Sophie.
Oh, his wife gets
Yes.
She wasn't that important.
She actually wasn't. She really wasn't. Huh? She was 23, 57.
Oh, wow, that was his wife?
Yeah.
That was his daughter and wife?
No, just his wife.
Are you sure she was that age?
Yes.
She might have been 18.
No, she was 23.
Actually, it was divorced marriage, most likely.
No,
It wasn't.
they didn't want. Okay, so we'll get into this later, but let's go through our who's real quick. Hold on one second. Emerson, what do you have? Yes. Super normal. Yeah. All right. So obviously, number one, when it comes to who, Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, Franz Ferdinand is the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary. So he is the Archduke, and his uncle is the emperor. He is the heir to the Austria-Hungarian throne. Okay. Gavrilo Princip is suspect number one. He is the assassin that is going to take out Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, which we'll see is through a variety of basically shenanigans over this day in Sarajevo that puts him in the right spot at the right time, okay? And then number three on our who is something called the Black Hand. The Black Hand was a gang, was a group of assassins, a group of, oh, what's the best way to put it? Young nationalists that had very, very heavy feelings of hatred towards Austria-Hungary, Franz Ferdinand, his uncle, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, they wanted independence for Bosnia and Serbia, among other things. Okay.
Wasn't it Bosnia back then?
No, it will be after. It's just Bosnia right now.
And now is it just Bosnia?
Now it's split again. It was split and then it came together and then it split again. Yeah. All right. So obviously what? It's an assassination. There is a massive event that is happening on this day in which Franz Ferdinand and his wife attend. They are basically going through a parade. Like I said, tons of shenanigans ensue, and we end up with an assassination. When does this happen? June 28th, 1914, middle of the summer, 1914. Where? In Sarajevo, Bosnia, the capital of Bosnia. Why did it happen? Like I said, Gavrilo Princip and the Black Hand, were heavy Serbian nationalists that wanted to see Franz Ferdinand and the heir apparent, or any heir to the Austria-Hungarian throne, taken out. How did it happen? He was shot in the chest. Yes. Sarajevo is the capital of Bosnia, yes.
So what's it basically just like parade, like, yay, Franz Ferdinand is so cool?
No, so there was a parade happening in Bosnia, basically celebrating Bosnian, not necessarily Bosnian independence, but a certain day in Bosnian history that's super important when it comes to the culture of Bosnia. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go because technically we are friends with Bosnia. I'm going to go and say hello and say that, nice to see you, happy Bosnia Day. I can't remember off the top of my head what the actual thing was. Hey, what's up? How's it going? But the Black Hand was like, oh, no, you don't. See you later, okay?
I mean, that's kind of like an exclusively Bosnian celebrated holiday. So a non-Bosnian come in there being like, hey, I'm so cool, look at me.
There's the video that we're gonna watch has a much better explanation than what I just gave you, I promise. Okay. Huh? Yeah.
Was there sniper rifles back then?
Yes. No. Yeah.
You guys are dumb. You're gonna assassinate someone, use a sniper rifle, not a pistol.
They had like longer range.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
It wasn't like an 8 times digi threat.
Well,
Like-
you can still, I mean, it depends on the pistol, but you can still snipe someone with a pistol, like, if you had, if you were good enough.
Mhm.
Like me.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So what I need you to do, you can go ahead and put your notes away. I know a lot of you just put your notebooks and stuff away. I need you to have a half sheet of paper, please. And thank you. Okay. Half sheet of paper, please, and thank you.
These are Skittles.
Interesting.
The water wasn't great. I thought it would be like sour Skittles,
Mhm.
but it wasn't. It's just regular Skittles.
All right. So you are currently getting a half sheet of paper out so we can watch this dramatization / informational video on the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, the spark to World War I. Yes. It's kind of funny. It's very informational, but it's kind of funny.
Is it gory?
No, it's not drunk history. If you are watching from home, the YouTube video will be posted on Google Classroom.